Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and today I want to talk about effective delegation and how to assign work. Well, as a leader, you've probably done this for years and years, depending on how many years you've been a leader, of course, and you've probably seen it done. In order for you to be a leader, of course, you have to have followers, and if you want to be an effective leader, you really have to understand what the best leaders do. And so this short video hopefully will help you get a better understanding of how you can be a more effective leader and what the best leaders really do. So let's get started. I mean, really, if you think about what the best leaders do, Bill Gates of Microsoft really said it best. He says, develop your people to do their jobs better than you can, and then transfer your skills to them. And think about the wisdom in that. If you have people that you've hired to help you run the organization, don't you want them to know what you know and then help make the organization stronger? Of course you do. And so no matter whether or not you're a CEO of an organization, a vice president, or middle manager, or a frontline manager who's leading teams, you really have to recognize that you as a leader are only as strong as your people are. So that really suggests that you need to develop your people and have them have the skills to help keep your organization moving and changing into the future. So it really comes down to making sure that you're hiring the right people, and then you're giving those people the right assignments, and then developing people. People naturally want to grow. I think that's kind of the meaning of life, essentially, is we all want to continue to expand and become the best that we can, and we are always wanting to be the best that we can and to continue to grow. So good leaders kind of capitalize on that element of being human. So what the best leaders do, they see unknown qualities in others. And that's the deal, is you have to really be able to observe your people and recognize, help them see where their strengths are. And then make sure that you are cultivating success by treating people in a way that really brings out their best. And very often, managers have no idea how much harm they're doing to team members and their teams by not allowing people to be the very best they can. You can't be a lazy leader. You have to be an active leader. You have to be an observant leader. You have to take responsibility to help your people develop to be the best that they can be. And then they can constantly stretch and grow throughout their whole career, and they'll want to because you're giving them every reason to do so and the right kind of support to be successful. So to achieve more success, you've got to want your people to be as successful as they can. Allow them to make mistakes. Don't beat them up when mistakes happen. Those are opportunities for growth. So how you see things, as you've probably heard me say before, really helps you do things differently to get better results. All right, so there are essentially two ways to exert your leadership strength, right? So the first way, and I don't recommend this, but if you've done this, that's okay, but don't do it anymore. Push down with intimidation. So if you are intimidating your employees, they probably have one foot out the door. You don't want that. That makes the organization weaker when people leave. You want people to be stronger, and so you want to pull up people through delegation. Give people more responsibility. Help them see their own potential because you see their potential first, and then give them the right kind of support that they need. So they can be a lot more effective when you recognize they can be more effective, and try to find out what it is that they need. So let's talk about why leaders fail to delegate. One, very easily, they just don't know how. Maybe they haven't seen it demonstrated well enough. We learn to be leaders by observing others, and unfortunately we learn to be bad leaders when we've had bad leaders and we don't know any better. Well, be proactive and really recognize that you don't always know what you don't know. So start learning how to delegate. You may think that employees will not do the job effectively. Well, that perspective again could be limiting the success of your team. So have conversations with employees. You have to trust them. So that's the number 3, is if you don't trust your employees, there's a problem there. You have to give trust in order to get trust. And for some, I know that's a really big step, but really, if you recognize that you can't do everything, you have to learn to trust employees to do things maybe differently than you do them, but help them understand what the expectations are. Fear is number 4, and fear is one of those things that keeps us from taking things to the next level, right? So if you have a talented employee, don't be scared that you'll show them up. I had just finished my master's degree, and I can remember applying for a job for middle management. And the people that were involved did not have graduate degrees, and I kind of got the feeling that they were scared that I would take over their jobs, and that was never my goal. But very often people don't get promoted because managers fear that those employees will show them up. And so maybe some people will do that, but for the most part, if you have a relationship that's built on trust, people will want you to be successful too. So there's enough success in every organization for everybody involved. That's a good philosophy. So there are 2 main reasons why people fail to delegate, why they should be corrected. So really, ultimately, it's about if you are giving your people more responsibility, that gives you more time to carry out more important responsibilities. Then number 2, it helps prepare employees for more difficult tasks and additional responsibilities, because people constantly are wanting to learn. So you can develop your people, but if you are not recognizing the value of delegation, or you're scared to delegate, you're probably making the organization weaker, as you've probably heard me say before. So here are the steps for effective delegation. Select the right person for the task, define the task, gain the person's views or perspectives, give authority and resources to perform the task, use checkpoints to review process. Remember, what gets measured gets improved, so have very clear checkpoints. And then hold people accountable and reward results. So pretty easy, but you really have to recognize that if you are circumventing any of those steps, you probably are not setting people up for success. So the rules for effective delegation are, you've got to share your power with employees. Don't delegate the bad jobs, saving the good ones for yourself. Know your employees. Use delegation as a development tool. Delegate work fairly among all employees, and when you delegate authority, be sure to support your employees if that authority is questioned. So you are only as good as your people to be, and you have to give them the right power to do it. Let employees know what decisions that they have the authority to make. There's clarity, right? And delegate decisions to making everything fair and clear as possible. Make sure you delegate consistent with consistency, and delegate the whole task so that employees can see projects through completion. And then really insist on clear communication. Measures, timelines, who does what the final outcome should look for, why it's important, those types of things. So questioning, if you are shutting people down, making them feel like they're stupid for asking questions, you're a bad leader. Stop it. Be a good leader. Allow people to ask good questions, and make sure that you're doing paraphrasing and making them paraphrase too, so that you can hear that they understand what's important when you're delegating this work. Again, really explain the importance of assignments. Learn to live with work styles that are not like your own. Avoid delegating tasks that could be petty. Important to follow the 3 Ds. Do it, delegate it, or ditch it. So essentially, things need to get done, and that's good time management. So by applying the delegation rules, you can be much more personally effective. You help develop employee talents, you have good leader-follower relations, and you obtain the highest possible level of job performance. Consider the availability of your employees' time, whether this is the ideal person to do the job. Use work assignments as a means to develop people, and then know exactly what you want to communicate before giving an order. So really think things through. If many duties or steps are involved in an order, follow oral communication with a note and keep a copy. I think documentation helps keep everything clear. Face-to-face allows you to see whether or not people really understand, and you can get them to paraphrase things back to you. I'm sure I've had several videos that describe the effective communication process, right? Ask rather than tell, but don't leave any doubt that you expect compliance. So really helping people understand the expectations and being very, very clear on what those expectations are, including timelines and what final products look like. And then make sure you're using the correct language for each employee's training level. You'll have employees probably that have many different levels. If you're not communicating with them in the way that they need to be communicated with, there's going to be miscommunication, and that's just going to cause problems in the long run. And it takes a lot more time to fix miscommunication problems than just communicating effectively the first time, because you understand how to communicate with each individual. So you've got to make sure that you're making assignments with a logical sequence, using clear and concise language, and not apologetic when someone is asking to do a job, or when you're asking people to do a job too. And then talk deliberately and authoritatively, but avoid shouting across a room or making an unnecessary show of power. Don't talk down to people. Help people feel like they're truly valued. Take responsibility for the orders that you give. If you make a mistake, you need to own that, of course, and then help make it better. Give people the opportunity to ask questions and express opinions. Maybe they don't like something, or maybe they'll see something that could cause the project not to go right, and that kind of communication can help you brainstorm. And then make sure that assignments are carried out properly, and modify them if things emerge. Not everything is going to go the way that you expect. Things will always kind of emerge as people get into it, and you don't always know what you don't know. Make sure that the person can do the work. So can they perform it? Remember, the performance formula is motivation times resources times ability. And so can they do the job? And then the attitude is, does the person really want to do the job? So people must see how what they do makes a difference, and their attitude will always be reflected in their behaviors. And then make sure that they're the right fit. Are they in the right place? Do they have the right schedule? Are they a right match for the organizational culture? What's going on in their family life? So all these things could affect whether or not you should choose to develop that person. When all three of those elements are present, then you need to make sure that they recognize that the payoff will be done well, and so that will affect ultimately the morale of your team and the morale of the individual, and then the performance itself. So Holland's model of personality and occupational types is something that you really should consider. There are essentially 6 different main personality types in Holland's model. which includes investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, conventional, and realistic. Of course, people are dynamic, and they could be any combination of those. So you as a leader should know what to look for. Realistic people like working outdoors and working with their hands, and they prefer to deal with concrete physical tasks rather than with people. Investigative, enjoy research and the discovery process, and they're detail-oriented and prefer working alone. Artistic people thrive in artistic settings that offer opportunities for self-expression, and social people like to work with other people and are concerned with their welfare and have little interest in machinery or physical exertion. Enterprising. These people enjoy leading, speaking, and convincing others. They're often impatient with routine and detailed work. And then conventional, prefer highly ordered activities, both verbal, numerical, that categorize detailed work, and have little interest in artistic or physical skills. And so as you are working with people, you can figure out what their personality type is and then delegate appropriately. So let's go back to some of the basics. In talk about leaders, we know there are different levels of managers. Top managers is, essentially these are the executives. These are the ones that are establishing the organization's goals and strategies and operating policies. They really are the representatives of the organization to the external environment. Middle managers, a little deeper into the organization. These are the ones that are implementing the policies and plans and that are established by the top managers. And they're the ones that are supervising and coordinating activities of the lower managers. And then, of course, frontline managers. These are the ones who are directly supervising and coordinating the activities of the people who are doing the operations. They're coordinating, facilitating, and supporting the work of their subordinates. So you've got to have the right types of skills in place. First of all, technical skills are very important. Having knowledge and being proficient in the specific type of work. Detailed job knowledge, hands-on expertise, and ability to use equipment, techniques, and procedures. Relational skills, having knowledge about and being able to work with people, and the ability to motivate, coordinate, and advise other people. So we talk a lot about emotional intelligence and cultural competence. So these are some key things, key skills that people need to have. And then conceptual skills are important, having the knowledge about being able to work with concepts and ideas, long-range planning, strategic decision-making, and weighing of ethical considerations, and include the ability to think abstractly. So if you think about the differences of the different managers, top-level managers, most of their days really are done then organizing, then directing, and then controlling. So primarily the focus is on planning for top-level managers. For middle-level managers, most of their time is done directing, but a significant part of their work is done planning and organizing. And then finally, first-level managers, they're primarily directing and controlling, with a little bit of time for organizing and a little bit of time for planning. So really recognizing who you are and then who you're working with really is important to be able to schedule your time, because everything's connected with time. In the workplace, of course, there are differences between us and the rest of the world, and I say us meaning the United States. Here in the United States, you have to know that we really like to reward people for being outstanding producers, and we do that by promoting people. And very often we measure success by status. Well, I'm a president, I'm a manager, I'm a middle manager, I'm a dean, whatever that is. The rest of the world, mobility is less the norm. Management positions generally are filled on the basis of education and social standing. And then the opportunity to become a manager in other parts of the world is not as common as it is here in the United States. So we kind of take those things for granted. The Peter Principle is something that's important to think about. The individual really may be satisfied because the new work is not interesting, or may feel inadequate because needed skills are missing. The organization is harmed because the individual lacks competence, and then in effect the individual has been promoted to his level because of incompetence. So sometimes we see that happen, right? One of the best ways to make a vital shift really is to just try a job out for size, and we can do that when we delegate people to take on interim work. And when people get to try a job on for size, ultimately it solves the problem of embarrassment and unwillingness to hurt other people's feelings. So sometimes we bring interim people in when new positions open up. We delegate them the responsibilities. If they do a good job, it really may be in the best interest of the organization to hire that person in a permanent leadership position. So I know that I've given you a lot to think about as it relates to delegating and assigning work. I hope I've given you some ideas that you can apply today to help you create a career that you truly love. And more importantly, I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr. Paul Gerhardt.